Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'll be playing the Midweek Magic event, which is a Phantom bot draft of Streets of New Capenna. Phantom draft means we won't be keeping any of the cards in this draft. However, this is going to be a completely free draft, so a great way to get some experience in the new draft format for free before you hop into a paid event. We also get a free random rare reward for our first two wins and a mystery cosmetic for our third. So definitely recommend anybody who has not done the draft yet to absolutely hop in. We've got 24 hours left and it's just a pretty fun format, especially if you get to play it for free. So without further ado, let's hop into our first draft. And with these Midweek Magic Phantom drafts, you do only get to draft it one time, so a bit of a misspeak there. You only get to draft one deck. But here we are with our pack one, pick one, and it's going to be a really easy one. Fight Rigging is an incredibly powerful rare. It's going to let you hide away something from the top 5 cards of your library face down. Then at the beginning of combat on your turn, you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control. You get to do that every single turn because this is an enchantment, so you just keep making your board state bigger and bigger, and once you control a creature with power 7 or greater, you get to cast whatever you exiled for free. Fight Rigging is a phenomenal card and an easy pack one, pick one. Pack 1, pick 2 now. We have some competition in the uncommon slot. We have Voice of the Vermin, which is a pretty solid mono green card, coming with a shield counter and turning something into a 4/4 every time it attacks. And then we have Darling of the Masses, which is a great build-around uncommon for the green-white color pair, being a Citizen Lord that even produces more citizen tokens. I think Darling of the Masses is the stronger card, but it does tie us into a second color, whereas Voice of the Vermin leaves us pretty wide open in terms of what we want to do for our second color. I really enjoy Darling of the Masses. I think it's definitely a strong enough card to scoop up here over the Voice of the Vermin. I think it's just a pretty great card, and that will be my pick here. Pack 1, pick 3 now. We have the Backup Agent, which is great for a lot of reasons. It's pretty good in the Citizen deck because this is going to give you a pretty expendable little Citizen to put on the board and tap to your cards that care about tapping a Citizen you control. The common in the color pair is a green-white 2/3 that gets bigger every time you tap another Citizen, so Backup Agent synergizes incredibly well with that card. This card's also just really good in the format in general because there are a lot of cards in white and blue in particular that will care about having a counter on something on your board, and this can achieve that as well. So Backup Agent is going to be the pick for me here. There are some other great picks. Girdergoons is probably the best black common. It's just an excellent deal. For 4 mana, you're essentially like dealing 4 to your opponent, getting a 2/2 and drawing a card every time you blitz this, which is pretty nuts. Worst case scenario, this is like killing one of their chump blockers or trading off into something when you blitz it in, which is always a really good deal if you can get your blitz card to force them into a block. So Girdergoons is just phenomenal. There's also Broker's Hideout if we want to take great mana fixing, but I think that's about it. Broker's Hideout, Girdergoons, Backup Agent being the top 3 here. Unlucky Witness is fine. There are some good ways to sacrifice this or make sure this can die and get your cards out of it, but Meeting of the 5 is not where you want to be in this format. Most of the 2-color decks are pretty aggressive and pretty powerful, and you really don't want to dirtle around too much with very multicolored stuff. It seems that if you do want to do multicolored stuff in the format, 3 colors is probably the most that I would go at this point in the format. Format has sort of stabilized into a point where now people are going after the aggressive 2-color pairs a lot. Pick 4 now, we have Botanical Plaza, a great green-white mana fixer. High-Rise Sawjack actually plays pretty well as well because flyers are pretty good in this format, so it's nice to have defense against them. So I think High-Rise Sawjack and Botanical Plaza are my favorite 2 cards that are on color. I don't love the Cabaret Initiate. It's a lot of mana to give it double strike. You need some other way to be buffing it up. Don't love Social Climber, just low toughness for 3 mana, and same with Socialite, low toughness for that 2 mana, but this one potentially attacking pretty hard. So yeah, favorites are Sawjack and Botanical Plaza. Best card in the pack is probably Quasar Augur of Agonies. Wow, that is a mouthful. Quasar Augur of Agonies. And the problem with that is it's very off color. We're green-white right now. We need to be white, blue, and black for that, so we'd have to cut Fight Rigging and Darling of the Masses unless we want to play 4 colors. Not somewhere I want to be, I think. So I think I'm just going to take Botanical Plaza, honestly. Sawjack's fine, but it tends to go quite a bit later than this. We'll just get a good mana fixer. Pick 5 now, a pretty weak pack overall. The best cards here are going to be off color again. We have Shattered Seraph being a nice way to stabilize and get a large flyer down, gain some life, but that is a white-blue-black card. Woody Roastmaster is fine if you're a very aggressive red deck. We're not currently, but we'll probably have to take one of the red cards here because I'm not a fan of the green or white. Then Ready to Rumble is a slow removal spell for red, and Pyre Sledge Arsonist is a nice card if you have a lot of treasure token production. This can do like a ton of damage. It does a little bit of damage alongside Blitz or casualty cards that sacrifice themselves. So in white and green we have Rafine's Guidance, which is not good unless you're conniving a ton and you want to throw this in your grave to that. Celebrity Fencer, which is just too slow for the format, even though it potentially gets pretty big. Capenna Express has been similar to me. It's just too slow to have to put a creature that you have to tap your other creatures to activate. And Glittermonger also just a very slow card. Not where I really want to be in the format, so I think I'm just taking one of these red cards and speculating on being Cabaretti here. I suppose I'll just scoop up something that's the least of a build around, so probably not the Arsonist. I'll just scoop up a Witty Roastmaster here. If we're in Cabaretti, we're going to have a ton of creatures. We'll get a lot of enter the battlefield triggers going on. Not too much going on in this pack. The best card's probably just the blue counterspell, Make Disappear. This card's ended up being pretty good in the format. There are a lot of big high mana cards that are quite powerful, and the format's aggressive enough that curving out matters quite a bit. So your opponent is going to be just dumping out their big 5 mana bomb rare on turn 5, and Make Disappear can really get them. Speculate on blue going into green-white-blue, or do we just take the green-white-blue dual land here over the Make Disappear? I think those are the top 2 cards in this pack for me, just the Make Disappear and the Broker's Hideout. I'll just grab the Broker's Hideout, because even if we don't end up in blue, we get to play Broker's Hideout as a green-white mana-fixing land. In this pack, we have Kaldaya Strongarm, which is actually played pretty solid. Love the Blitz ability on this card, getting 2+1/+1 counters on something and drawing a card when you sack it in the end step. It's also fine to just play as a 5 mana 4/5 if you just need a big blocker. So Strongarm's been pretty good, but the strongest card in the pack is Fairy Vandal. This is a really fun and powerful build around in this format. There are a lot of ways to make sure you draw one additional card per turn. Blitz cards and Connive cards will both trigger 1 card draw whenever you Blitz or Connive. So if you do one of those abilities during your turn, that'll be a second card draw. That'll put a +1/+1 counter on Fairy Vandal, making this card pretty sweet with Blitz and Connive. So I might just take Fairy Vandal here. I think it's a really good card in this format. It's not hard to build around it that much. Strongarm's pretty solid, but I don't think it gets anywhere near the quality level of Fairy Vandal. So I'm going to take that and speculate on pushing towards blue-white here. Seeing that as late as it is. Not too much going on in here. We have Kill Shot, which is pretty mediocre removal because it can only kill attacking creatures. So it is not very flexible removal. But if you need removal, it's there. And then there's Broker's Veteran, which is a pretty fine filler 2-drop. Get this on the ground so it can trade with your opponent's creatures, and then when it does, get a shield counter onto whatever you want. Pretty good in blue-white. Trade off with a ground creature and put a shield counter on one of your flyers. So Broker's Veteran or Kill Shot here I think are the choices. Don't think I'm taking Racer's Ring just to speculate towards green, white, red. I'll just scoop up a Kill Shot here. Now that we're dancing between green, white, and blue, we're definitely in white. The question is what we're pairing our white with. Are we pairing it towards white-green or pairing it towards white-blue? Not a ton going on in this pack. Pretty easy backstreet bruiser in case we are the white-blue flyers deck. That way we get a creature on the ground to just block our opponent's aggression. 2 pretty decent choices here in white, and I think that's where I would lead myself towards. That's where I'd skew myself towards. We have Broker's Initiate, which is good for just blocking a bunch of stuff on the ground while you're doing stuff with flyers, and then in the late game you get to treat this as a 5/5. And then Buy Your Silence, which is fine removal. It is a lot of mana to cast it, and you're giving your opponent a treasure token, but you are permanently exiling whatever you target. So Buyer, Silencer, Brokers, Initiate are my favorites here. Sawjack's fine, but again, I think I want to push into white to be open to white, blue, or white, green. I'm going to go with the Cat Citizen here, I think. The Citizen creature type is really nice on it. Now in blue, we can take this Disdainful Stroke, which has been pretty solid in the format, because again, there's some just big bomby stuff at 4 mana and up. Sewer Crocodile's the pick here, only on color card. Here I suppose I'll take Rafine's Guidance over Glittermonger. Really have not seen a lot of places where Glittermonger is super solid, but Rafine's Guidance, it is a rarity when it gets played, but it can get played in a deck that just has a ton of Connive, so you discard this to your Connive cards and still have access to this spell in your graveyard. You can recast it, which is fine. Last pick, Make Disappear. That's pretty nice. Thank you, bots. Alright, and now our pack 2 pick 1 is a solid blue rare towards this white-blue deck. It does look like that is where we're going to end up heading. We only have 2 green cards in there. Very good green cards, but we did not see a ton of great green commons and uncommons getting passed around, so it looks like blue-white is the way to go here. Undercover Operative is our rare. It is a clone that if we clone our own creature, we get a shield counter on it as well, so an incredible card for sure. Always going to be the best creature on the board. Just be a copy of the best creature on board. And if that creature happens to be yours, then it comes with a shield counter as well. A few choices here. We have Gathering Throng, which is a card that I completely overlooked early in the format. Having a bunch of 3/1s isn't necessarily that good or powerful in this format, again, because there are 1/1 tokens, there are effects that'll do -1/-1 to all creatures on the board. But when you think about it the way that, think about the value of the first Gathering Throng you cast, basically. It's basically a 3-mana 3/1 that draws you 2 or 3 cards from your deck, depending on if you've drafted 3 or 4 Gathering Throngs, and that's pretty good value. Even if the cards that you're drawing are just 3-mana 3/1s that aren't that ideal, you don't have to just sit there slamming down 3-mana 3/1s. You can keep your curve going like you would, where you're just going to play your 3-mana 3/1 Throng, then play some flyers or whatever your plan was, and then just have these leftover 3-mana 3/1s for once you run out of things to do. So Gathering Throng actually does play a lot better than I had anticipated, so it is a pretty early pick for me now. That being said, I don't think I'm going to take it over Metropolis Angel. I think this card is very good in the blue-white Flyers deck that has a lot of counters, because this is a card that can potentially draw you multiple cards, and it's pretty hard for this not to draw you at least 1 card, because once you cast it, you get to draw a card the turn you cast it if you attack with something on board that has a counter. So I really like Metropolis Angel here. That's what I'm going to go with. Pack 2, pick 3 now. We've got Obscura Initiate, which I'm a pretty big fan of, and not much else. We do have a Quick Draw Dagger, which is a fine little combat trick, but it's not going to be super good in the Flyer deck, because there's not going to be a whole lot of blocking going on, so scoop up an Obscura Initiate here. Nice flyer that can give us that lifelink to really outrace our opponents. We've got another Broker's Initiate or a Make Disappear here. Scoop up the Make Disappear. Pick 5 now, we get to go for a Speakeasy Server, a 5-mana 3/3 that gains a bit of life, or Shattered Seraph, a 7-mana 4/4 flyer that gains a bit of life. I think I'd prefer Speakeasy Server. Just 1 less power, 2 less mana. Gonna gain maybe a little bit less life, but still seems solid. Yeah, I'll take a Speakeasy Server here. Ooh, we do see a nice late Civil Servant if we were still heading down the green-white direction here. I'm probably still going to take that, because we're not taking it over anything massively powerful. I guess we are taking it over Buyer Silence, which is solid, but yeah, I'm going to take Civil Servant. This is an excellent common for the green-white decks. Now we see Spara's Adjudicators, which is going to fit nicely into blue-white or green-white, either way we go. And then there's Buyer Silence as well. I think I'm going to go Adjudicators here. But yeah, it's looking like even though we get to see that Civil Servant nice and late, we're just not seeing the green, even if we are seeing the green-white. So probably still pushed out of it. Here it's going to be an easy Celestial Regulator. Great card for the blue-white Flyers deck. The blue-white deck cares about Flyers and counters. And Regulator cares about both those things and does a good amount of tempo work. Now we've got Rooftop Nuisance being an excellent card for us here. Really annoying card. Going to tap our opponent's creature down. It won't untap during their next untap step, and we'll draw a card. We can even casualty this. We have a couple good ways to casualty this if we sacrifice a backup agent or a... I thought we did get one of the brokers things. I guess we didn't. Just backup agent, but if we sack a backup agent, it'll be a pretty good deal. And if not, it's still a pretty great card, and it works quite well with our Fairy Vandal, so I'm going to take Rooftop Nuisance here. Another Kill Shot or Case the Joint. Kill Shot actually is probably pretty good in the blue-white Flyers deck, because we're not going to do a whole lot of blocking, so we need cards like Kill Shot to get rid of our opponent's attacking creatures. So yeah, I'll take a Kill Shot over a Case the Joint. Case the Joint's just a bit slow for the amount of card draw. 4 mana to draw 2. There's a lot of cards that'll just draw a card while doing something that are probably just better. I will take a quick draw dagger here, because there's not much else in the pack. And now I'll take another Broker's Initiate, make sure we've got the ground just kind of cluttered up with some nonsense. We can do some blocking just to stop taking damage, but we can't do any profitable blocking, so that's where the kill shots come in. Ooh, okay. Broker's Ascendancy is one of the strongest rares in the format. It is a 3-mana enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and a loyalty counter on each planeswalker you control. So your entire board gets a +1/+1 counter every end step. It's just a stronger version of the fight rigging, albeit quite a bit harder to cast because it needs green, white, and blue mana. Lucky for us, we're already kind of down those colors. We have a green-white duel, we have a green-white-blue fetch. This is going to be pretty bonkers in the deck. I'm going to scoop up Broker's Ascendancy here. And looks like we're going to be blue-white splashing the green for that card. So Speakeasy Server, Broker's Initiate, and Psionic Snoop are the blue and white cards, none of which are particularly powerful, and a couple of which we already have multiple copies of, like Broker's Initiate. So I'm just going to take a green-white duel here, Botanical Plaza, to help splash in that Broker's Ascendancy. Pack 3, pick 3 now. We have a blue-white dual land or Swooping Protector being the best on-color cards, in my opinion, this time around. How many creatures do we want to have? We want to have a solid creature count here. 15, but we have like 3 Broker's Initiate and stuff. I think I am still looking for a few more quality creatures, and Swooping Protector definitely fills that role. 4 mana for a 2/1 flash flying that comes with a shield counter, so it can kill a 2 toughness attacking creature, and then still be left behind. Pretty solid card. Between that and the Skybridge Towers, but I think I want to take that right now with our current creature count. Ooh, wow. This is a beautiful pack. Citizen's Crowbar is phenomenal. Essentially a 2-mana 2/2, and it gives us main deck artifact and enchantment removal. Inspiring Overseer, best white common in the set. 3 mana for a 2/1 flyer, gain a life draw card when it hits the board. And Majestic Metamorphosis, a great blue common, making an artifact or creature a 4/4 flying angel until end of turn and drawing us a card. I think Inspiring Overseer is just the best of these 3 cards, but all 3 of them are very good, and they are not that far behind the Overseer, so I'm going to have to take Overseer here, but I did really want to mention Majestic Metamorphosis and Citizen's Crowbar, because those are both also phenomenal cards. Just a super sweet pack there. So we have a green-white dual land here or an Echo Inspector. Probably going to go ahead and scoop up the Echo Inspector, but we'll take a look at our actual curve now and make sure we've got a decent amount of creatures at that 4 mana slot. Looks like we don't have too much going on above 3 mana, so we could use more late-game creatures. We only have 14 creatures total. Yeah, I guess I'll actually take Echo Inspector over the mana fixing here. Fill out the higher mana costs in the deck. A lot going on at 3 mana, but some of that is instant speed stuff. That's like combat tricks we won't actually be playing on turn 3. Rooftop Nuisance we won't play on turn 3. Definitely important to look at your curve and sort out by what cards you're actually casting on that turn. So keeping basically your creatures and your like really big enchantments you'll be slamming down. Even Broker's Ascendancy I might wait till I have more creatures, so we'll set that aside and just look at our creature curve here. So looking at our creature curve, we only have 3 creatures on 3 mana. We can definitely fit some more in there. I'll grab an Obscura Initiate this pack. Dapper Shieldmate, and a blue-white dual land. We're doing pretty good on the creature count now, up to 16, so I'll grab that dual land. We now have Majestic Metamorphosis, a combat trick that draws us a card, or Revelation of Power, a combat trick that if we have a counter on whatever we target, gives us lifelink. Whenever you get lifelink with Revelation of Power, it is a massive swing, but I don't think we have enough cards that really get value off of it, because we're not getting any value from the flying. I had one game I absolutely died because my opponent had the 6-mana 6/3 that comes with a shield counter, and then they used Revelation of Power on it to make it a 8-power creature until end of turn with lifelink and flying. That was such an insane swing. I think those are the cards that it really works well with, just like big, beefy creatures on the ground that have a counter on them. All of a sudden, setting that in the sky can completely ruin your opponent's chances of racing. Don't think it's better here. I think Majestic Metamorphosis would just be better here. It's also really good with our Fairy Vandal because it triggers that second card drawn. Pack 3, pick 9 now. A little too late to jump on the Gathering Throng train, but I do think those cards are solid, so I'm just going to take Run Out of Town here. Nice, cheap interaction. Slows your opponent down, makes them put their best card back on top of their library and spend their next turn recasting it. Another Speakeasy server seems fine to me, but Psionic Snoop triggers our Fairy Vandal as well. Another big dorky creature on the ground. I'm really not that opposed to Psionic Snoop here. I guess the biggest problem with it is that the only thing it does super well is triggers Fairy Vandal, and we only have one copy of Fairy Vandal anyway. Yeah, only one copy of Fairy Vandal. We'll take another Speakeasy server. If I had two Fairy Vandals, I'd probably take that Connive card there. I hate that Dragon to the side doesn't work anymore. Ooh, another Majestic Metamorphosis is beautiful. And then another Sewer Crocodile. So we get to cut a lot of cards out of here when we're deciding how we want to build this deck. So this will be a fun deck build here. Going to be a pretty annoying deck to play against for sure. Okay. We have 18 creatures and 13 non-creatures. 15 to 17 is your general creature count. So we can definitely cut 1 to 3 creatures here. That's our weakest creature. We have 3 Broker's Initiate. I don't think we need 3 of them, so I'll probably cut 1 of those before anything else, and then probably 1 of the Sewer Crocodiles at the high mana cost here. But let's get to cutting some non-creatures first. Rafine's Guidance is not great in this deck. We do not have a lot of Connive. I don't think we have any Connive, actually, that allows us to draw and discard a card, so nothing's going to put that Rafine's Guidance into our grave. Disdainful Stroke and double Make Disappear. I think Make Disappear is a little more flexible than Disdainful Stroke. If the game goes really long, Disdainful Stroke will be better, but ideally that won't happen, so I think we just keep the Make Disappears, not the Disdainful Stroke. We might even cut the Make Disappears, because this is a deck we're really going to want to tap out every turn that we have a decent flyer to put on board. It's going to be tapping out for quite a while and just not having the mana up for counter spells, so consider cutting these Make Disappears as well. Double Kill Shots. We really don't have removal, so I kind of want them just for that, but it is another card that is a lot of mana to hold up as an instant. Majestic Metamorphosis, that's absolutely staying in here, drawing us a card, getting us some extra damage in. Very good with Fairy Vandal, very good with really just anything that ends up in combat. Rooftop Nuisance is a phenomenal card, as is Broker's Ascendancy. Those are definitely staying in. Quick Draw Dagger doesn't look like it's going to work incredibly well in this deck, because most of our combat is going to be in the sky, and we're just trying to have our stuff go through unblocked. Even if our opponent plays flyers, our plan there is to just Rooftop Nuisance or Run Out of Town, and even if it does get blocked, we do have 2 other cards that work similarly. We'll just cast a Majestic Metamorphosis to win combat instead of a Quick Draw Dagger, so pretty redundant card for this deck. We'll cut the Quick Draw Dagger. It is good in some decks, but I don't think it's good here. Case the Joint. This is a card that does absolutely nothing but draw cards. It doesn't affect the board in any way, so I think I want to cut that because we have cards that do draw cards and affect the board, like Metropolis Angel, Echo Inspector, Majestic Metamorphosis, Rooftop Nuisance, all that stuff. So I'm going to cut Case the Joint here. 3 cuts to go. Could meet right in the middle and just cut 1 of everything here, and then see how they all play out. So I think that's what I'll do. I'm going to cut 1 copy of Make Disappear, 1 copy of Kill Shot, and 1 copy of Sewer Crocodile. And we'll see which of those 3 cards plays the best, which of them plays the worst. And based on that, in the future, I can make decisions between those 3 cards, which ones I want to cut in similar scenarios to this. But here we are. Here's the deck. Blue-white flyers splashing in a Broker's Ascendancy. Real quick, let's make sure that Arena did a good suggestion for our lands. Alright, so it looks like we have 12 cards that are just blue, 8 cards that are just white, and 3 cards that are both, 1 green card total. So 12 to 8. Decent bit more blue than white. We have 7, 8, 9 blue sources right now, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 white sources. I think we cut down 1 white source, add in another blue, because blue is very important. Look just how much blue we have here. Although we do need white turn 1 for Broker's Initiate. As far as green sources, 1 forest, double Botanical Plaza, and Broker's Hideout is hopefully just enough to get to our single green card in the deck. It only costs 1 green mana as well, which is nice. You know, I might actually just go for the 50-50 split on white-blue, even though we have a decent bit more blue than white. We've got a good chunk of blue and white sources if we just leave 9 each. Yeah, I feel like if I just go up to 10 blue sources and 8 white sources, I feel like that doesn't actually statistically mean I'm gonna have better mana. It just feels like I'll just get cut on white a little more often. I feel like having 10 blue sources instead of 9 blue sources is really not that much of a difference towards the main color here. I don't know. I think I'm gonna roll with the 9-9 split that it started as here. 7, 8, 9, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, that'll be the deck for our free Phantom Bot Draft, so we'll see how it plays out here. These Phantom Bot Drafts are going to be different than a traditional Quick Draft or Premier Draft. We get to play as much as we want, and we get a reward for our first 3 wins. We get 2 random rares and a mystery cosmetic. So today, I'll just be playing as long as it takes to get all 3 of these rewards. So without further ado, let's see what it takes. Not the perfect hand here. We're not playing anything until turn 3, so a bit of a slow one for sure, but our mana's looking pretty good, and we've got some solid plays. If we keep drawing lands, we have some high mana cards, so we don't get flooded out with this hand. We'll go for it, see how it plays. Mono green so far from our opponent. And Civic Gardener is the play, a 2/2 citizen that will untap a creature or land every time it attacks. So kind of a 2-mana 2/2 vigilance by itself, but it's also really good at dumping out like 2 2-mana cards on turn 3. We'll see if they can do that here. Play an untapped land, play a 2-drop, attack with Gardener, untap one of the lands, and then play another 2-drop post-combat. Uh-oh. Yeah, it's looking like that might be the case here. They play a 2-mana Tavern Swindler, a 2/2 that allows them to gamble with their life. And they are going to send in the Civic Gardener here. Choose to untap a creature, so they don't have another 2-mana creature in hand, luckily for us. Alright. We have 4 mana here. I can either commit 2 mana to gaining some life with Initiate on an attack, or I can just hold up Metamorphosis for blocks. I think I'm just holding up Metamorphosis for blocks here. Plays pretty badly if our opponent just goes for some removal spell on our Initiate. But the only removal I could really think of in here would be green damage-based removal. They need double black to hit murder. I guess they could have Deal Gone Bad for -3/-3, but we could counter that with Metamorphosis. Alright, so they're going to go to combat here. We're going to go ahead and probably block the Civic Gardener, I think. Let's Metamorphosis while they only have 2 mana on tap, just in case they're main decking Broken Wings, so at least we guaranteed draw the card before they cast it. Broken Wings is a 3-mana instant that can destroy a flyer. Or an artifact, which matters here, because it is turning into an artifact angel with the Metamorphosis. Alright. 5 mana now. You just play a 3/3 flyer and they can't attack into it. Sure. Send in for 2. Pretty big blocker here. Gain 1 life. Next turn we get to play our big old sewer crocodile. And that will be very hard for them to attack into on the ground. This is some really cool artwork. Love how they have the kind of manhole cover looking sewer in the background. Deal Gone Bad. So they do have Deal Gone Bad. They're going to kill Speakeasy Server and they're going to mill our Broker's Ascendancy. That's actually a net positive for us because we're stuck on green mana. It can be sad when your big bomb gets milled, but when it's an off-color bomb and we don't have the mana for it anyway, it actually panned out pretty well for us. Had we drawn these cards naturally, we'd be in a world of hurt. Draw a card we can't cast and then just draw 2 more lands afterwards. So, all in all, a pretty good mill for us there. Some good luck on the RNG. Oh, have they been swindling? That's really fun. I think I heard a coin flip sound while I was looking at the grave. Oh yeah, they're swindling. They're going for it. And they're succeeding. Up to 18 life here. Alright. We just drop a 4/6 now, I think. Stop their attacks here. So the Tavern Swindler, it is straight up just gambling. You pay 3 life and then flip a coin. If you win the flip, you gain 6 life. So on average, it's a net 0. Because whenever you lose the flip, you're paying 3 life. Whenever you win the flip, you're going up 3 life total because you paid 3 to get 6. So lose the flip, lose 3 life. Win the flip, gain 3 life. Alright, well, goodbye, Obscure Initiate. We'll keep our big old sewer crocodile here. Our opponent is a lucky Tavern Swindler today. Still winning those flips. Our Make Disappear is looking worse and worse the longer this game goes on. Don't think we can afford to start trading 4 life for 4 life here, but if they just keep tapping Swindler, I don't think they will. If I attack, they probably just crack back for 4. Yeah, with the life total disparity, I don't think I can afford to do that. I guess that would convince them to attack, so I can trade a shield counter into one of their 2/2s, but I don't even think I want to. I think I just want to swoop out the Protector and just start attacking them in the sky with it and keep the shield counter so that it's going to require 2 murders to kill our flyer. So we've just got our consistent way to deal damage to them on the board. You just start doing that. Just chip in with flyers while we sit behind our big old crocodile. So Make Disappear did end up working pretty well here. They cast a big old 6-drop. That'll definitely get countered. Alright, they're swindling again. And another victory for our opponent. They are all the way up to 22 life from the Tavern Swindler. Alright, Swooping Protector, come on in. Not really protecting anybody. It's just going to sit here and start jamming into our opponent. And I actually am going to cast Fairy Vandal main phase, even though I can flash it, because I can cast this Echo Inspector to draw a card and make it a 2/3. And I'll keep Run Out of Town over the backup agent here. And now our board is very good. We have 3 creatures on board that can block one of their 2/2s without dying. We can start really jamming in. Vampire Scrivener is the wombo combo with Tavern Swindler. When they lose life during their turn, it gets a counter. When they gain life during their turn, it gets a counter, meaning it can get up to 2 counters per turn off of 1 Tavern Swindler tap. They did finally fail a Tavern Swindler tap, so they are down to 17, and the Scrivener only gets 1 counter. I think I'm just going to Run Out of Town, force them to redraw that Vampire Scrivener, and just hit for a lot here. Yeah, I'm hitting for enough now that I even want to attack with Sewer Crocodile, I think. Speed up the clock. We only take 4 on the crackback, and that's if they attack with Swindler instead of tapping it. So, I think I'm jamming in with everybody. Holding on to this island. in case they play like a corrupt court official after we draw a kill shot or something. I don't think there's a huge reason to drop down the island. We do have enough card draw in the deck. We could be in a position where we would have wished that we'd played this island, because we can't play 2 lands per turn, so if next turn I play my casualty, my Rooftop Nuisance, sack a creature, tap down 2 of their creatures, draw 2 cards, and I draw 2 cards, and then I need to play a land and pay 5, then I'll be sad, but overall I think it's fine to keep the island. Doesn't work well if they corrupt court official us right now, but I was expecting them to spend the black mana to recast the Scrivener, but it looks like they chose to put Scrivener on bottom here. Another victory for Tavern Swindler, back up to 9 life for our opponent. 9 life, not enough to survive all these flyers though. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with the flyers, and 4 damage with Sewer Crocodile's unblockability. So they're going to need to win another Tavern Swindler flip, and then they'll be at 1 life if they win that. They won it, so we can only attack them down to 1. No longer lethal on board. I suppose if we draw Rooftop Nuisance, we get there. That is a Botanical Plaza. That does not get there. Alright, we can only hit them down to 1 life, whether or not we make the Crocodile unblockable, so I'm just not going to make it unblockable. I'll just let them kill the Corrupt Court Official to save 4 life here, because we definitely have lethal next turn, even if I don't hit them with the Crocodile. So I would be pretty fine just using their Crocodile to get one of their creatures off the board. Alright, so we are getting the Corrupt Court Official off the board. Hitting them down to 5 life here. Prize fight to get rid of the counter on the Swooping Protector here. And get a treasure token. Alright, so if they can kill Sewer Crocodile and win the coin flip, then they can go to 1 life. So if they use the treasure token to murder Sewer Crocodile, win the flip off Tavern Swindler, then I don't have lethal on board again. This is a fun game. I have not seen Tavern Swindler get used this much, and it is panning out for our opponent. They've won more flips than they've lost. So that is really cool. I've definitely played with and against a lot of Tavern Swindlers, but it's generally just like, yeah, I need a 2-mana 2/2. But opponents just going for it. They're jamming it. A failed coin flip here is going to be really painful there. They're down to 2 life now, and all of our creatures have at least 2 power. Unfortunate ending to the Tavern Swindlers games. And sack the treasure just for fun. It looks like... Unfortunately, they do not have enough life to attempt the Tavern Swindler game again. But they can still untap it to block our Crocodile with it if we don't give Crocodile unblockability. Luxurious Libation is the play here. They can hit us for 8 damage and get a 1/1. A lot of damage, but not quite enough to close out the game, so the Flyers are gonna get there here. Our first random rare reward shall be the Celestius from Innistrad Midnight Hunt. Alright, here we are in round 2. I don't think this hand is super keepable. We really need a blue source. We do have 9 in the deck, but there's a lot of risk here. Because until we get that blue source, we're doing a whole lot of nothing. Just the backup agent. So I'm going to take the mulligan here. This is a lot better. We have the natural white, blue, green for turn 3 Broker's Ascendancy after having 2 creatures on board. That can absolutely end a game. And we're going to get rid of the 5-drop creature there and just go all in on dropping an early Broker's Ascendancy this game. Do I want to make the backup agent a 2/2, or do I want to make a really juicy Broker's Initiate? Just a 1/5 and then a 2/6. Ooh, now we have Inspiring Overseer as well, wow. Yeah, this hand is shaping up. Let's make a juicy Broker's Initiate, because then we get some damage in this turn. Just a real big booty on this one. 2 mana up from our opponent. I'm going to play around a Make Disappear here because of how powerful Broker's Ascendancy is. I'm just going to cast Overseer. I will attack first. Maybe they'll cast the 2 mana instant, and then I know that they don't have the counterspell. Okay, they get to use Fairy Vandal to kill backup agent, but now I know no counterspell for Broker's Ascendancy, so we'll jam it down right now while their counter mana is not up. And in a blue-black deck, they should not have any ways to blow up enchantments, so we're all in on the Ascendancy here. Ledger Shredder from our opponent. Whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, the Ledger Shredder connives. They've cast 1 spell so far this turn. They only have 1 mana up. Alright, so no second spell that turn. Let's see what our Inspiring Overseer gets us. Cast that before anything else so we can see what we're playing around with here. Obscura Initiate. Alright, we'll just play this land. No reason to attack a 2/6 into a 1/3. They'll just bounce off each other. So, the mulligan did end up being painful here. Often when you drop Broker's Ascendancy, it's going to feel like your opponent has no chance, but this is not one of those games. We did have to mulligan down a card, and our opponent got to kill our backup agent for free, basically. So we're kind of down 2 cards this game. Inspiring Overseer does make up for that a bit, drawing us 1 card. Definitely not sending in the Overseer here, but we'll send in the Initiate. We're not going to put any of our creatures in harm's way, because the longer they stay out, the just more value we get out of Broker's Ascendancy. The more just unstoppable they become. So the board state is very much in our favor, but again, our opponent does have 5 cards in hand. They're just going to scoop them up. Broker's Ascendancy looks like it's just too much for our opponent. So the biggest things I'd be worried about there are Wrath effects. There's a Wrath effect in the Maestros. They can turn something into a 1/1 and then deal 3 damage to everything. Turn one of our creatures into a 1/1, one of theirs into a 4/4, so that would kill our Overseer and Initiate. At this point, it would be too late to kill Broker's Initiate, but they could kill 2 of our creatures, and then if they have that's one of their 5 cards, Murder is another one, they can murder the Initiate, then they just need 1 more removal spell. So if they had Wrath, removal, they could have a way out of the game, because Wrath would kill these 2, removal would kill that, removal would kill this, and then they just start hitting us with these 2. If we draw dead like all game, that would be the winning hand, but it would have had to have been a really good hand there, and it looks like they just did not have that. So let's see what our second rare reward is. It is Crawling Barrens from Zendikar Rising. Quite a nice man land, because it just keeps getting bigger and bigger every time you use it. Eventually, if the game goes really long and you're in Commander or something, you just keep doing this in the end step, maybe this starts attacking as like a 10/10. Or even bigger. Super solid card. Really fun creature land. Here we are in round 3 of our free Phantom bot draft. See if we can't go 3 for 3 here. A definite keep. Fairy Vandal is going to pop off with this hand. We're on the draw as well to help us hit that 3rd mana that we definitely need. So we're going to go Fairy Vandal turn 2, and we're hoping to be able to just start going absolutely wild with the Fairy Vandal. We have Rooftop Nuisance drawing us a card, Echo Inspector drawing us a card. Both of those will put a counter on the Fairy Vandal when we play them. Unfortunately for now, we still don't have that 3rd mana, but it's not turn 3 yet. We have 1 more turn to hit it and not miss a land drop. Disciplined Duelist is the play from our opponent. That is deadly. Wish I had my 2-mana counterspell here, because that card is going to jam in for 4 damage each turn. It's very impossible to block profitably in combat with a shield counter and double strike and 2 power, so very, very threatening card. This is the perfect opportunity for Rooftop Nuisance to tap that down, but no land drawn yet for us. Not ideal at all. High-Rise Sawjack is pretty much the perfect creature against our deck. The reach creature that gets even bigger if it's blocking a flyer. So what do we do here? Now that we have the 3rd mana, kind of want to play a 2/3 and tap down the Sawjack so we get in for 1 damage here. I don't want to Rooftop Nuisance just yet. 2/3 is big enough to block the Sawjack without dying, so we just take the Duelist damage. Opponent has main deck Broken Wings as well. This is a really bad matchup for us, and we got stuck on mana 1 turn. So probably just dead, but they have just main deck cards that are really good against our deck. I mean, Broken Wings for sure is sideboard worthy, so just a really unfortunate matchup here. We drop Echo Inspector. We drop that. If they hit their 5th land, they just play Adjudicators and stop our blocker, but we can make Fairy Vandal a 2/3 blocker as well, so we have 2 blockers here. Backstreet Bruiser, we'll get rid of the Crocodile because it's so much mana. Pass the turn, hold up 2 blockers. They do hit the 5th mana for the Adjudicators. Broker's Charm as well, which is really good with Double Strike because they're adding another power onto it. And they're just going to pass. They don't want to drop a shield counter to kill our Echo Inspector or hit us for 6. I think that attack would have been very worth it. So I'm happy they did not do that attack. So we have 5 mana now. We can play Backstreet Bruiser and Rooftop Nuisance. Our Fairy Vandal's dead now, though, so much for getting more counters on that. I think that's what we want to do. Make sure we have more blockers so that they can't get a really big Adjudicators hit. And then I think we have to... Well, I guess we could Nuisance down both of their creatures if we sack this Bruiser. And we do draw 2 when we do that. I don't think that's worth it. I think we really need another blocker at 10 life here. I think we just tap down 1. We probably tap down the Duelist, and we're just not attacking right now. If we attack in with Echo Inspector, the Sawjack does block flyers as a 4/3. I guess it could still be worth it, because if they block, we get it off the board, lower their board state a little bit. Undercover Operative on any of our creatures is going to be pretty good here. Just having a blocker with a shield counter will be important. Lagrella the Magpie, that is a very good card. Banisher Priest, they get to exile one of our creatures till Lagrella dies. They could exile their own as well if they want it to come back with counters on it. Alright, super glad I left a Backstreet Bruiser down here. Now we have 6 mana. It's only enough to cast 1 spell, so what 1 spell should we play? Could Operative and copy their Lagrella and exile their Lagrella with our Lagrella? That seems more cute than anything, probably not worth it. Don't think that we're playing Operative here just to have a 3/3 with a shield counter either. Probably just casting Speakeasy Server. Disdainful Stroke. Well, glad I didn't go for Operative, but we're probably dead now. If they have removal, we're dead. I guess not quite. We go to 2 life if they have removal. Oh yeah, they have Adjudicators. They have Adjudicators. Just play Adjudicators, we go to 2. Can run out of town on Lagrella. We need another mana to accomplish anything here. We needed to be able to play a blocker and cast Run Out of Town, but all we can do is cast one spell here. Yeah. There's no possible way to survive, right? Because we can Run Out of Town on Lagrella. That gets rid of one of their blockers and gives us another one, but then we still only have 2 blockers against 3 creatures at 2 life. Play Speakeasy Server and go to 3 life with 2 blockers, but then they have 4 attackers still. Nope, that is game. It was a brutal matchup. Disciplined Duelist on 3 is always going to be an insane threat, and they just had a really good deck. Disciplined Duelist and Lagrella, and their cards that were not really powerful were like pre-sideboarded cards that, while they're not generally really powerful, they are really powerful against us, like the Reach Blocker and the Broken Wings. So even their more filler cards were just really good in that matchup. That was a really rough one for us. See if we can't come back from that one as we head into our 4th game. Alright, we're on the play. Initiate into Backstreet Bruiser. Not really putting any threats down for a while, but our mana's good. We can sit behind some big blockers. Just kind of hang out for now. Riveteer's Overlook from our opponent, pulling out a mountain and gaining them a life. Now we've got a 4-drop, so we get a threat down on turn 4. Won't take as long to get there. They're on red-black so far, and Tenacious Underdog is the play. Our Broker's Initiate is going to do a lot of work against that, just having a nice 0-4 to block that. This card's really scary because they can cast it from their graveyard with its Blitz cost. So if you don't have like a 0-4 blocker, that card can really put in some work. Now Mayhem Patrol alongside it can make sure to give it 1 additional power so it attacks in as 4, but then we'll double block the Mayhem Patrol and kill it if that's their choice. So just get 1 good underdog attack. Kind of want to just discard the land here. We can wait on Speakeasy Server and just play Rooftop Nuisance and Initiate for now. Sizzling Soloist. So as creatures enter the battlefield, they can make it so one of our creatures cannot block this turn. If they have 2 creatures enter the battlefield, they can make it so one of our creatures has to attack them in their next turn. What do we want to do here? Just cast an Obscure Initiate, just hit for 2 in the sky. Yeah, shields are still pretty fine, even if we cast an Initiate here. A good amount of blockers still. They can start stacking up some triggers though. Sizzling Soloist alongside Mayhem Patrol can make it pretty hard to block. Grab a green source here, so they are the full Riveteers, green, red, and black. Exhibition Magician. 2-1, that is going to give them, if they get a citizen token, they force an attack next turn. And they say 2 things can't block. I think. I'm actually not sure how that works. Yep, this can't block and attacks if able. Well, it can't attack anyway, so we'll just throw our 0-4 on a 3-power creature, just take 5 here. We've got the lifelink to try to race here. Swooping Protector is pretty nice, but not really going to get lifelink going on. Do we just pass turn and hold up a Metamorphosis and Protector? I think we do. We have some really good instant speed tricks here, so let's lean into them. This might convince them not to attack. That would be unfortunate. Ooh, if they play another Exhibition Magician, they're probably attacking here, and I can get the Swooping Protector to kill their Soloist or something. Okay, so Backstreet Bruiser cannot block. Echo Inspector will have to attack next turn and can't block this turn. And a Halo Scarab as well, so a 3rd creature can't block. This is insane. It's more work than I've ever seen done by Sizzling Soloist. Luckily, though, it is now going to be incredibly dead. We are down to 10. We have a lot of creatures here, so if we get one more mana, Speakeasy Server is going to be great. We hold up Metamorphosis. We have to attack with Echo Inspector. Our two options are Rooftop Nuisance or Majestic Metamorphosis. That's it, so it's probably better to hold up Metamorphosis than just go for a Rooftop Nuisance. Because the problem is how wide their board is, there isn't one individual card that's great to tap down here. Blitz and a Mayhem Patrol. They can attack pretty hard here. Man, discarding that land has really come back to bite us, because with 5 mana, Speakeasy Server, get a 3/3, gain a bunch of life, or 5 mana, spend 3 on Metamorphosis and 2 to gain life. Probably discarded that land too soon here, because it is not panning out well at all. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage here. We can save our Initiate at least. If they have the +4/+4 combat trick, we're just dead now. I don't think we can afford not to do that. They have Murder. Brutal. Come on, 1 mana. That is not a mana. Alright. Gotta tap down Mayhem Patrol here. There's the mana. Four blockers for their 4 creatures. Still got a shot at stabilizing if we can drop Speakeasy Server down without taking any damage this turn. Gain 4 life when we do it. Gilded Pinions is phenomenal here on the underdog, because that card just keeps coming back from the grave and forcing trades. That's obnoxiously good. I'm gonna go to 1. Felt like I had the bomb rare all solved, all sorted by just having a bunch of 0/4s, but if they give it flying, it's gonna do bomb rare things, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it just keeps eviscerating our board and drawing them a card every time they do it. Undercover Operative is really good here. As is Underdog. Do have to pay life every time they do it, so maybe eventually we can find a crackback to where we just block so many times they can't afford to keep attacking. Because they pay 3 life every time they want to do that. Currently we have 6 damage on the crackback. We make that 10 damage on the crackback once we have a crocodile down. We have a lot of mana sinks on the board. I should probably just keep playing all my lands. We're at 9 life here. We just send in the Speakeasy Servers? Threaten lethal next turn, 10 damage? I think we do. So can't find 9 damage in the sky here. We can find 3 if they put Gilded Pinions on their biggest creature and send it in. And cast the Underdog. That's another... Oh, it's 2 life per cast, not 3. Thought it was 3 since it's 3 power. Alright, I think we just get there. Actually, off these flyers. We've got lethal on board that they can't block. Oh no, they can put the pinions on a blocker here. And then they only take 7. Jewel Thieves, they have to sack both treasures to get the pinions on a blocker. Okay, so they've got the pinions on the blocker. So we can hit them for 7, putting them to 1. Make Disappear. Does not super help here. They're dead in 2 swings either way. So we probably have to play it defensively now that we're down to 6 and just hit them with Sewer Crocodile. Because the only way that I hit them for more than 4 damage is if I attack with all of my flyers here. And that feels really risky at 6 life. If I attack with Sewer Crocodile and 1 flyer and hedge my bets, they just trade and still only take 4. So I think we just attack with Crocodile. And then just try to survive this one last turn, and then just attack with Crocodile one more time. There's the Underdog, putting them to 2 life. Attack all. I don't think they can get 6 damage here. They can get a lot. I don't think they can get 6. Three damage, it looks like. That's the most damage we can block. And they concede, they scoop them up. That is going to be 3 wins in the bag for the Phantom bot draft. That was a stressful one. Thought we were dead there. They went really wide. That was a nice deck from our opponent. Let's see what our cosmetic reward is. It is going to be an Orvar, the all-form card style. A very cool looking one. And you gotta love the text boxes on Arena. They're so small you gotta scroll a bit. It's really funny. But yeah, really nice card style. Really nice rewards overall and a pretty fun draft. Well, that is going to end today's video. As always, if you want to see some more Magic Arena Limited, just stick around on the channel. I'll be doing plenty more Streets of New Capenna drafts and sealeds in practice for the big events this month. We have an Arena Open on like the 14th, 15th, and the qualifier weekend on like the 28th, 29th. So some big events coming up, but until then, just some off and on sealeds and drafts. So yeah, once again, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.